You said, what are 6 ether forces versus 9 ether forces?
Right.
6 ether is a much lower vibration than 9 ether. 6 ether forces is dealing with malevolent, disembodied spirit beings, etheric beings. When you're dealing with 6 ether in the physical, as it personifies in the material, it personifies as lacking melatonin, lacking melon recessive, calcification of the pineal gland, blue eyes, pale skin, thin fur. 9 ether, it personifies in the physical material as woolly wabar, woolly hair, brown eyes, black flesh. When you're dealing with 6 ether, you're dealing with disagreeable. You're dealing with zupu. When you're dealing with 9 ether, you're dealing with agreeable. You're dealing with nupu. There's a new scroll out called Good and Bad. It's on the shelf over here. This goes in, no, good and evil. Wawad Wu Dawe, good and evil. And he gives an elaborate build and expounds thoroughly on that particular subject. The scroll, you can purchase them. That particular scroll is $15. You come to your local mayor, like right.
In order to do this in order, there's an order to this. Like a certain, like say from 1 to 10, right? Scale 1 to 10. There's a certain order you would buy books that whereas though you wouldn't actually buy a book and be off.
Well, the master teacher doesn't even put out the scrolls in order. They're not put out in chronological order. And it's up to us as being students of the master teacher to get together and put the pieces to the puzzle together. You follow? Because he has to teach in this way as a master teacher in order so the evil ones will not try to stop the spread of Wu Nawab. So he had to be a very prudent man in how he handles his business affairs and how these scrolls is being put out. They're not in chronological order. They're not in chronological order. So it doesn't matter which one you read first. You want to, as long as you're reading, whatever scroll you can get your hands on. Right now, the scrolls that are coming out are the actual facts, the master secrets, and the patriarchs. The patriarchs are the scriptures of the Nawapians. That's our scripture.
So you can't make mistakes.
No, you can't make a mistake picking out a scroll because whatever scroll that you pick out, that was the scroll that you were supposed to pick out.
Right.
You follow?
Right. So.
Now, has anybody read up on the Akashic records? Do you know what the Akashic records are? No. You got a hand in the back?
What is it? Akashic records?
The Akasha records are me stones. They are crystal-like, circular-like disc that you insert into a device. Right? And what happens is it projects holograms of 4D image. And it has information and affirmation in order to teach the one who owns it actual facts. Originally, there were 24 me stones. The master teacher, he received his first me stone at the age of 19.
So why is it called the ancient Egyptian order if you're not supposed to read the books in order?
The ancient Egyptian order is a sacred order that is at the pinnacle of our culture. No, it's not a figure of speech. The ancient Egyptian order right now is deactivated for now. That particular order is deactivated for right now. And that's you will have to be in the ancient Egyptian order and to even read certain revelations. Those would not even be in the store for you to purchase at hand. Like the scrolls up here, this is for everyone who wants truth, who wants facts. But when you're dealing with ancient Egyptian order, some of those scrolls or readings are not for everyone. That is for those who are in the ancient Egyptian order. And no one has been initiated in that order. And right now that's deactivated, that particular order. Until further notice from the incarnate warner and overseer, our Heavenly Father that's on the planet right now. Master of the Natharu, master of heaven and earth, the heavenly one, who is also our Father. Not as in Osiris, the Heavenly Father, but a heavenly being that we refer to as Baba, who's raising us. I beg your pardon? I thought it.
He has a DVR called How to Prove the Existence of the Most High.
Torah.
Right? So you pray to the Most High performing as yourself. Who are you praying to?
Torah. Now, the Most High, as Nawapians in ancient Egypt, would be Re. Pa Aktor Ashak Reye. Yes, that would be the Most High in ancient Egypt. This is a personification picture of the image of Re. Now, this is a personification picture of Harar, Pa Masu. That will be the Messiah. This is a personification of the Holy Mother, Ashtat.
Right?
Absolutely right.
Why we see the flash? Amen. You get a fraction of that?
Women are supposed to teach as well. They have to study. You have to be qualified in order to be up here. You just can't be up here just because you're feminine. You follow? You have to be in the doctrine. This is the platform of the master teacher. This ain't nothing to play with. This is serious. He knows who's up here in the temples and teaching. Reports are going back. So the women are supposed to be up here. They're supposed to be studying as well. And there are women that's teaching. There are women that's teaching. You have women that teach language class and all.
So through the DNA, basically.
What do you mean, basically?
Appointed through DNA to teach.
Appointed through DNA to teach?
Right.
Well, not just DNA. But yes, absolutely. Absolutely. There's certain criteria in order to teach, yes. DNA is one of them. We're not going to have no Mukasu up here teaching because he doesn't have the DNA.
How can you tell a person Mukasu not?
I thought it.
Because of complexion.
No, not just by the complexion.
Somebody would think that me and you are probably like, Caucasian. Some people just don't know us at all. Right?
No, wrong. You don't look Caucasian to me. Why would somebody think you're Caucasian? If they thought that you were
I was crossed off as a Caucasian before a plane sign.
No, you don't have a you don't look Caucasian, brother. You look like a melanated being. I see you have woolly wabar hair. You have features of Africa.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? You have 9 different characteristics in our race. In the African race, the Negroid race, there are 9 characteristics. There are 9 species in our race. There are 9 different hues in our race. 9 different complexions in our race. In each race, the levels go down as you go down to different races. The Aborigines, 8 species. The Dravadu, 7. The Magalu, 7. The Dravadu will be the Indians. The Magalu will be the Asians. The Aborigines will be those of Australia, indigenous to Australia. Those who...
Is that in heights or...
I thought it?
Is that in heights or would that be like in what?
No, I'm dealing with the actual different races. I'm dealing with different races. The African race is the root race.
Right.
Representing 9 ether.
You see somebody like about 10 feet tall. You might see somebody like about 8 feet tall. You might see a person like
you seen somebody 10 feet tall recently?
40 tall.
In your lifetime, have you seen someone 10 feet tall?
I'm just giving an example.
Okay, let's deal with.
You don't exactly know how a tall person is. You can sit there and measure them. I'm just saying. I saw beings personally coming on a train.
Yeah.
The size of the damn doors.
Yeah. Now you have the being Yaa-nanan is
10 feet tall, 2 to 3.
Yes. Riskians are 9 feet tall. So, you have Shaquille O'Neal, he's 7 foot something. You got Yao Ming, 7 foot something. So yeah, you got 7 foot beings.
The movie, what's that movie called? Rush Hour. That's all good.
He was tall. He could have been like 8 feet.
10 feet tall.
Yeah, this is from genetic mixing with ETs and extraterrestrials, the original Patahite race, the masculines, the males, were only 5 feet 4 inches. The feminines were 4 feet 5 inches.
So
now, when the master,
wow, Tuti tribe, the Pygmy tribe, were.
when you're dealing with the pygmies, that the pygmies are the Patahites. That's what they're wrongly called. Pigmented little ones. When they say pygmies, those are the ones who are pigmented, the pigmented little ones. But the proper name is Patahites. Okay, so they take the word pygmies as insult.
Is that in the Bible or is that like?
You can go into the scriptures. You can go into Genesis chapter 10, verse 13, and you'll see the sons of Ham, right? And you'll see Naphtahim, Genesis 10:13. And if you look up the word Naphtahim, that will be the people of Patah, talking about those in the Napatan region, which is in Sudan, which was a metropolitan city, an ancient metropolitan city ruled by feminines, ruled by women. This was a matriarchal society, not a patriarchal society, like the Bible, the Quran, the Book of Mormons, the Holy Tablets, which is all expired as the year 2000. As they have found thousands of stone tablets in Iraq from 1845 to 1847. They found the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Qumran Scrolls, more Gospels in 1945 to 1947, right around the time that the Master was being born, and the holy different stone tablets was being discovered right around the time that his great-grandfather was being born, Al-Mahdi, who he was born 100 years after. And there's a hadith that says every 100 years Allah will send a reformer.
So Muhammad's grandson. Muhammad's grandson.
He is the grandson, he is the great grandson of Al-Mahdi, the Ahmed. Not Muhammad, no. Al-Mahdi is the one who received the Ratib, which is his expression of love for his creator. Al-Mahdi is the 19th Khalifa, a direct descendant of the Prophet Muhammad. But no, he's not the Prophet Muhammad. He's the 19th Khalifa coming through the bloodline through the Prophet Muhammad's daughter Fatima and his nephew Amir Mu'min, who had Hassan and Hussein. And through that is the bloodline of the Prophet, going all the way to the master teacher.
Saddam Hussein.
No, not Saddam Hussein. I said Hussein.
Oh, Hussein.
These were the grandsons of the Prophet Mustafa Muhammad al-Alamin of Arabia 1400 years ago.
So you talking 1400 years ago, but what was it? We're going to think he incarnated every 24,000 years.
Yes, that's Zahuti. Zahuti incarnates every 24,000 years. And it was that time again for him to incarnate and to renew our timeline. And that's what we're getting right now. We have the guidelines for the next 24,000 years. Our ethics. This is our guidelines for the next 24,000 years, for the next cycle of a world. As an equinox is 24,000 years, consisting of 4 cycles of 6,000 years. 4 times 6,000 is 24,000. That makes up a world which connects to the circumference of this world, which is Project 24, Sector 3, Zone 6, which is 24,000 miles in circumference, which links to the 24,000 genomes that make up your body. 24 solitary minuscule cells. 24 trillion solitary minuscule cells that make up your body as well. 24 colors of light. This is Project 24. And he's the 19th elder. And the 24th seat is open up for those who are being raised up by him, as he's the 19th elder and the 19th seat. As he was brought into Mount Shasta.
Who was the first elder?
The first elder? Going to the Holy Tablets. I brought it with me. So, here are the elders right here. The first elder was Akatriel, the first of the 24 elders. Here's a picture of him.
So he was actually writing the elders himself off of what? Out of his mind or out of the
No.
of Egypt?
No. He first met with the Greys at the age of 9. He had his first encounter, as you write, as 10. I guess that was a closer encounter. You had a close encounter, and then he was abducted, and he was gone for 3 days and 3 nights. During this time, he was being raised by his aunt, Diane Fletcher, the daughter of Ben York. Because his stepfather, David Piper York, did not accept him as his son.
Is he related to the Ruckers, though?
No.
So who's the biggest family in the world right now?
You have many families in the world. Right now, you got the Queen of England, Elizabeth.
Right.
Queen Elizabeth. You got different countries that are in contact with different ETs that have different agendas. Project Paperclip, Project Immunity, when the scientists of the Nazi came over to the States to connect the USA to the extraterrestrials. That was Project Paperclip. And that's when the USA got in contact with different ETs. And that was during World War II. During Hitler's time. And you can refer to the scroll, the proof by way of Muțbaț-un, Yaa-nanan. As I go right into it. 3 times 6 is what? 18. The European nations, 7 heads, 2 of them of 2 parts or 2 horns of Baphomet. The Goat Man, the British Isles, including Great Britain, where the Queen Elizabeth is at, right? And then this is the eagle. You have the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. You have the West Wing, or the right wing, and the left wing. So this is the heads of the beast coming together, which ties into Revelation 13, chapter 13, verse 18.
So I'm just saying, if you go to church, right, with that, like bring 6 of the forces towards you. That was actually earlier.
Absolutely. When you on Sunday, when you go to church, right, there are so many Nubian, Negroid Africans that are calling out to 6 ether forces. And these 6 ether forces are multiplying and coming in. 100,000 spirit forces come in every Sunday. On Sunday alone. And that's the Christians' day of worship, right?
Well, how can you describe the forces though? Like, what do they look like?
Disembodied spirit forces. You can't see them with your physical eyes.
Like small, like talking about, right?
Spirit forces. Conscious gases. So who or what are these forces? You have feeding the forces. Who or what are these forces? These forces are 6 ether disagreeable forces on lower subplanes. Roll back. So these spirit forces are 6 ether disagreeable forces on lower subplanes. You also have 100, the original 100 watchers who was restricted to stay in spirit form, which roamed the earth, multiplied. These were the 100 who did not warn and tell of what the original 200 did when they came down and raped the daughters of Enochites, daughters of Seth, son of Adam. Genesis 6:3. Who was born under the sign Kaf Re? It's the master teacher, Muțbaț-un, black scarab. That's why you see the June bugs coming in the month of June and July. Those green bugs, see those come in. In ancient Egypt, the scarab beetle was sacred because it symbolically rolled his dung and then laid his larva in his dung. And from this dung, new life will come. And this was symbolic of the gestation periods of the sun as Kaf Re rolled the sun across the sky to the different gestation periods.
So if you stop going to church, right, and then start going to class immediately, before you stop activating themselves coming towards you, or did it wait for a little while for the forces to stop the word?
Well, it definitely won't. It's not an overnight thing. It's not overnight. You know, this is a process. He's cleaning us inside out, outside in. And Wu-Nawat is step 1 through 9 of purification, of cleaning yourself. You have to first clean your mind, which is brainwash. And as you read these scrolls and these scriptures coming from the incarnate overseer, you're actually brainwashing your mind. Like your cerebral spinal fluid brainwashes your entire brain. As your brain is bathed in the melatonin.
You dehydrate yourself and die.
Athorni. Say that again. Come again.
If you read too many books too fast, can you dehydrate yourself and die? Or study too much too fast and you die from.
You can have mental. You can have mental overload. Your brain is a holographic computer. Okay. So yes, you can have mental overload. You can crash. Yes. Yes, absolutely. So I don't know anybody who ever died. I don't know anybody who ever died from reading our doctrine to answer that question. You're supposed to study. You're supposed to study as much as you can. As much as you can. Let that be your hobby, because spare time is the devil's workshop. So, you know, anytime you have spare time, you should be studying something. Because man must not live on bread alone, but every word that comes from the mouth of the Father.
And if they actually trying to keep that, you're in jail.
Of course.
So why not publicize on television?
It is being publicized over the media. They're not going to put it on CNN. They're not going to.
Like on regular, like
They don't want.
Like cable television shows.
They're not going to put that up there. It was on Montel Williams, and as soon as it got up on Montel Williams, his show got canceled.
Exactly.
So they don't want the children or anyone to know about the one who is here now. They don't want us and the children to know that we have an incarnate, an extraterrestrial who was sent world over to the Negroid race, world over. Whether you brown, yellow, or black, if you accept him, if you accept him in truth, as he came to set the record straight.
It's extraterrestrials. But yet, when we go out to our house, like to go get like a job, you're a man, you're a nigger, you know what I'm trying to say? Like all of a sudden, though, when we get to extraterrestrial, though, they don't know what you're talking about.
All right, so what's your question?
How like, if you go to your job, right, for instance, and let's just say, right, that I'm wearing this fez.
That's not a fez, that's a crown.
The crown.
Fez is a place in Morocco.
And people are seeing my crown, and they see it, and they ask me, well, what are you doing with this crown on? Or what are you doing with this?
First of all, when we wear our crown.
And like, they ask me, all right, and I'm saying, well, my math teacher is an alien. And they're going to look at me like I'm crazy.
It's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Try to kill me.
And
I was got killed before in a barbershop before.
Yeah, because you definitely, the truth hurts. The truth hurts. I wouldn't suggest you just going around saying he's an alien. No, I wouldn't suggest to come off like that. And when we wear our crowns, we wear our crown in uniform with the rest of our Nawapian.
You see ancient aliens. What's so mythological about aliens?
What's mythological about aliens? It's not mythological. It's not. Aliens are not mythological. It's real. Myth means it's not real. It's not mythological. It is real. What's mythological is the gods of the Bible and the Quran. These mythological spirit forces that people give all their praise to Jesus and not even knowing where the word Jesus is coming from. That's mythological. Because Jesus is coming from the word Jah of Jehovah, of Yahweh, of Yahweh, onto Zeus of Greek mythology. So Jesus is mythological.
Really though, right? Too much information can kill someone.
Right knowledge will amplify and give you chromosome amplification. It will give you a elongated hayat life.
All right, say you're
staying on this path of Wu-Nawat.
Mute, like a retard, and you can't, like, you know, expect me, like, you know what I'm trying to say? When this was somebody who's a little slow, and they can't understand, because they're going a little fast. Now, if you try to explain something, like my mom, for instance, right?
What's the question?
She's 64. My mom is 64 years old.
Okay.
still cannot understand the doctrine. And still won't retain to it. And I'm still here coming to the class, and I'm doing actually better than she is. And she still understands what I'm talking about. I live in her house. I'm just trying to say that.
This is a
64-year-old woman cannot comprehend the doctrine. And will not come to this class. But no,
all right. Let me jump on that question.
She go to church every single Sunday, and I understand it.
You should.
It's kind of freaking me out in the hospital.
And you shouldn't try to convert your grandmother, your mother. Muțbaʒ-un is not conversion. This is not a religion. This is a cultural way of living, and this is a DNA doctrine. It's actually in your DNA. So as long as you save yourself, your ancestors will be saved through your blood, because the spirit feeds off the blood. So you continue to keep raising yourself up, and you lead by example. You don't have to convert. You don't have to convert your grandmother. You don't have to convert your mother. Your aunt. There's no converting. Facts are facts. Truth is truth. So it's up to, it's their prerogative what they want to accept. It's their prerogative what they want to believe in. Now you can give them the truth. You can give them the fact. If they're not reading on their own, you don't force it on them. You lead by example.
240.
Because they're going to be judged according to whatever religion that they was in and how they lived in that religion.
God, the Most High, exists on planet Earth, right? It's just enough, right? The Most High Himself exists on planet Earth, just enough.
The Most High,
right?
Absolutely,
exists through all of us, right? Individually.
Absolutely.
What's the purpose of having 203 million churches for, and just a few mirrors in the planet Earth?
You said what? What's the purpose of what? What's your question?
If the Most High exists through all of us.
If the Most High exists through all of us, okay.
Right?
It
says in the Bible, I have said, you're gods, right?
You're all children of the Most High, you shall die like men.
Ye shall die like men to fall like one princes. What the purpose of Him creating 200 million churches versus 45,000 men?
Who said the Most High created 230 churches? Who said the Most High created 230 churches? Churches is being built by men.
You just said the Most High isn't through all of us.
I said you said is the Most High.
You said there's more people than planet Earth, right? Beings.
Okay.
Walking around like us, and we're planets.
Okay.
Okay.
You said we're planets.
Yeah, we are planets. It says in the fact we're planets is inside of
where is that reference from that we are planets? Where is that reference that we are planets?
I heard that inside the class we were planets.
I don't know that to be right knowledge, brother. I don't know that to be right knowledge. Now I've read that you are a universe. You are your own universe. Your body has a whole solar system. What's inside of your body is the same components that the universe. Your body, 76% of it, you're dealing with stardust. You're dealing with authority.
Actually, planets then too.
No, it didn't say that. That's no.
Enclosure of stardust coming off a planet, right? Would be the same thing as a planet.
No, this planet is not a star. This planet is a planet. Our sun is a star. You agree?
Yes.
Oh, okay. What's your next question, brother?
What I'm trying to make, though, if you have 200 million churches, right?
200 million churches.
Planet, I'm just saying, on one planet, right? And the Most High appointed Dr. Malachi York to be here, right? To help us.
Okay.
We have had more churches than the mirrors, because if we were to save the planet, the Most High would have had set and appointed us all at one time, praise all at one time.
Many are called, few are chosen. In this hour, He sent to raise 144,000. When you're dealing with different churches and stuff, this is not the works of the Most High. All these false religions, this is the works of disagreeable forces. This is the works of the evil one. This is not the works of the Most High. The church that's being built right now on the wall, that's not the works of the Most High. That's Donald Trump. He's building that wall. That's Nanar's temple.
Everybody's body, right? It says in the Bible. I have said, you're gods. You all be chosen Most High. He breathed breath of life into man, if a man woman came to live a soul.
That's what the Bible. That's what the Bible says.
That will make all of us, therefore, living souls from the Most High on planet Earth.
When you say all of us, who is the all of us? That's very broad. Who is all of us? Are you, what race are you? When you say all of us, are you only speaking about the black race?
Everybody eats the same food you eat. You know what I mean?
No, but everybody is not the same. All races are not the same. The white race is not the same as the African race. Caucasians don't have souls. At 6 months in their mother's womb, fairies go inside their mother's womb at 6 months and live with them. And that's the equivalence of their soul. But they don't have a soul. They become encaged spirits on the planet Earth when they die. They don't ascend and go to Orion. They don't ascend and go to Cyrus.
Yeah, fairies.
Talking about Caucasians.
Okay.
They become encaged spirits when they death and roam the planet. They don't have souls. They have lunar plexus.
After you say that though, right? If you can't identify a Caucasian between
I can say the reason that I can say that is, for one, this is coming from the doctrine in which I've read. For two, the black man was always called the what? The soul man.
right.
And they said the white man doesn't have what? Any rhythm. Now, when you're dealing with rhythm, emotion is dealing with soul. Your emotions is connected to your soul. And they don't have the emotions that the African race had. They don't have the rhythm. They don't have the vibration. They don't have the consciousness of the melatonin that's being produced from the pineal gland that's bathing the entire brain in cerebral spinal fluid and going and growing your ectoderm, your mesoderm, and your endoderm. This is the prominent germ layer and skin tissue growing in your body, melanin, which protects you, which makes you the root race having sunlit genes. Caucasians don't have sunlit genes. That's why they lived in the caves and they came from out of the caves. They wasn't in Africa.
It was more than on planet Earth than anybody else.
Says who?
Says who?
Says who? Where you get that from?
Common sense.
No, that ain't common sense.
Everything made in China, right?
So is China bigger than Africa?
No.
Yes.
No, it's not, brother. You can look it up. China could fit in Africa. Africa is the largest continent. There are tribes that are unmarked in Africa.
In China.
We have children in Africa. We had more than one wife. So our procreation rate was faster than anybody on the planet. We would have 10 children at one time. We were not monogamous. That's something that America made us.
How is China giving us so much power?
Because
You can't even go to the Chinese store and get a damn job.
the Chinese people have power, because when you go into Revelations chapter 13, it talks about the dragon giving power to the beast.
So why do white people have power?
They do have the power. The dragon, which represents China, gave the power to the beast, which would be the Caucasoid. Right now, who is the so-called world power? Not really the world power, but the so-called world power. You got America. Even China, America is in debt to China. But right now, America bullies everybody. They the bullies.
Germans are the most unpopular being in the planet.
At one point they were. During Hitler's time, that's not right now.
There's more Germans on the planet anyway.
That's not true. That's not right knowledge. It's not more Germans on the planet than anybody.
Google it right now.
The largest race on the planet is the African race.
Say, Google it right now.
Why would I Google it? Do we have any questions? How y'all doing? Rahul back. Tour.
You had mentioned that this planet is not a star.
Tour.
Elaborate on that.
Tour. This planet is an orb. When you go into existence, how and why? This planet is made up, 70% of this planet is water. It was called the blue rock. This planet is an orb that grew out of the sun, which is a star.
You can't read anything you in Google.
No, you can't read everything you read on Google. Do you know who made Google?
Germans.
Google that. Germans ain't make Google. We dealing with one who has 720 degrees, 360 degrees of physical knowledge, 360 degrees of spiritual knowledge, rendering him 720. So he knows he's mastered both sides. That's why he's called the master of the Natharu. So that's why he put out scrolls like Dr. York versus the computer. He was putting out this information before we had access to the internet. When you're dealing with the me stones have more information than our internet has. The me stones, which will also be called the Akasha records, which were quartz like this, crystal like this, circular in shape, which you would put into a device and it will project a 4D hologram.
Almost like that movie, like, for instance, right? And I'm dealing with you too. Is it called with Bruce Willis?
What movie is that? Bruce Willis had a lot of movies. He had The Sixth Sense. He had Die Hard. What movie are you talking about?
The female.
The Fifth Element?
Right, it's an element.
Okay.
Those stones.
I got to see that movie again.
The stones, kept the planet, you know.
I got to see the movie again, but
It was actually nothing to do with that. Those type of stones.
The me stones.
They represent different elements.
I'm gonna tell you what the me stones are. The me stones record light and sound, and it's the records of all conditions. Originally, it was 24 me stones. Originally, Enlil was the first keeper of the me stones, and it was stolen by Anzu. It was also called. Enlil had the one called the Tablets of Destiny. That particular me stone. It was 24 me stones, and they projected holograms, 4D holograms, 4D holograms, and they gave the owner different facts. You know, it had facts and information. Something like computer today and projectors, but much more advanced. The technology was much more advanced. We're still not using that technology now.
Like those stones right there?
No, not like those stones right there. The me stone, the red me stone, was the me stone that taught of lust and pleasures. It taught all the wisdoms of pleasures and gave birth to the Tantra arts and Kama Sutra of Hindu. As Adam was a monk and Eve was a nun, and their children was monks and nuns, which gave birth to other religions, going down to Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. As
So
this,
you miss a class, like say you miss a class a week, right? Or a day. Are you punished by the 60 forces?
well, you let your guard down, you put down your psychic self-defense. Yeah, because these 60th forces are always constantly working. So you have to put on your psychic self-defense. You got to put on your spiritual and ethereal armor in order to combat what's going on, because you have invisible adverse forces that's always coming at you. You can refer to feeding the forces, you can refer to the ghost, and you can refer to the spiritual you after the physical you dies.
Can you burn like trains to murder to like prevent certain forces from coming around you?
We have the all incense. Now, I used to burn frankincense and myrrh, but now I prefer to burn the all incense. And yes, incense, yes. The incense were always known as certain remedies to keep different spirit forces away, as cleanliness is next to godliness. It talks about the incense throughout the scriptures. Yes. Myrrh and frankincense was brought by the 3 wise men to the baby Jesus. Do you have to burn incense every day? If you can afford it, why not? If you can, if it's not, but also burning of the incense, you also need to have a window open, because that's carbon monoxide that's coming back in. Candles, you can burn candles. That's fine. But the main thing, steps 1 through 9 is Wu Nawat. You have to brainwash your mind with reading the scrolls. You have to put the words and the verses of Nabab, it needs to be in your mind. You need to read it and feed yourself, as you have to mine M-I-N-E, your mind, M-I-N-D, for the jewels of your soul. So you have to dig deep inside of yourself. And when you read these scrolls, this is opening you up and cleaning yourself out. This is step 1 through 9. Tour.
So where's the activation of the barotheric gland?
The barotheric.
They will be reinserted through our chin. If we are all, I'm just saying, let me start a part of all. Now, mind you, where's the all versus the different types of beings on planet Earth too? So we're going to like, going different like going different like churches and stuff like that, and synagogues. Like, what will those beings be? Going to churches and synagogues without even knowing who they are.
So, what exactly is your question?
Some people is like, Doc said we're dealing with a state of unconsciousness. He's dealing with us. He's kind of like breeding us in a sense.
So okay. So I'm trying to convey your question clearly.
Like, say for instance, like a person. I'm gonna say it like that. Keep it simple. They would go to a synagogue or a church and not know what they're going there for, and they're just going there, and they're real successful. They're doing real good and doing all their life. How they render them being on the planet Earth? Because I know Muৎbac-un was all about success, right?
All about what?
Muৎbac-un was all about success.
Okay, I'm trying to get the question that you're actually asking. You're saying a lot, but the actual question, convey it.
Right, I'm just saying, like, say I'm a superstar, a rapper, right? Mm-hmm. My name Thug Life, right? And I'm just all of a sudden just going to a synagogue or a masjid my whole entire life. And all of a sudden, I start going to the mirror. And like coming to the mirror, you actually, get more blessings and more,
you
grasping. I'm just saying, how that render a person coming from out of a place like that coming to a mirror, because eyes in the mirror, change your life and it makes you more successful.
Well, you can't just come to the mirror and think it's going. You have to live Wu-Nawab. You have to apply it in your life in order for these different changes and these different successes that you're talking about. It depends on success and what. So, you still have to always apply yourself.
Success, because honestly, you think about success, right?
What is success to each individual? Success could be something different. Success could be getting an A on a test. Success could be graduating from college. Success can be being success.
Not come in the mirror, right? They walk right past the mirror, and nothing come in. Is that their fault, or is that someone else's fault for not telling them? Well,
it's your choice. It's your decision whether you want to come in. There are people that walk by the mirror, and they're grabbed by what they see, and they can't stop themselves from coming in, and they come in and they become disciples of Wu-Nawat from that point on. So it's a DNA doctrine. It's all about what's in your DNA, what's pulling out, what symbols that you're seeing, because all this is being recorded and it's going right inside your black holes, your eyes, and it's all affecting your brain. Sounds, colors, vibrations is all affecting you. So just by coming to the mirror, there are people that come to the mirror. But that doesn't mean that they are Nawapians just because you come into the mirror. Nawapians are those that live Patarak, live Wu-Nawat. Those that are chanting 9, 3, and 9. Those that are keeping the words and instructions of the master teacher. Those that are in the orders that he put out for us.
So you actually have to grow as a child to get into the mirror. Basically, you can't be a child and say, "Let me come to the mirror."
No, you could be a child and come to the mirror.
I say, like, you're a child. You walk past.
You can be an elder or a child and come to the mirror.
You walk past church, going to a church. You walk past the mirror. I'm saying, like, you're a child, and like your mom's gonna go inside here because I haven't raised you to go inside here. There ain't no children inside here. You know
It's children in the back. Children come all the time. It's children here. Children have questions as well. Don't suffer the children.
I've never seen children inside here.
It's children right behind you right now. It's other children. I'm sure more children will come. There's always children in here. Children in here during the week. So I came in here see children watching TV in here.
I think there's a difference between us and like Farrakhan's organization.
What would make us different?
Farrakhan has farm. They have farmland. They got
For one, let me tell you some distinct differences. For one, we have our own language. Farrakhan and them don't have their own language. We have our own language that's being restored by the master teacher, Nawapuyi, which is going back to Napata and Meroe of ancient pre-dynastic Egypt.
How many Nawapians on the planet Earth right now?
How many Nawapians on the planet Earth? I don't know how many Nawapians are on the planet Earth right now. But you can, that can be something that can be also determined by how many Nawapians got their IDs. How many Nawapians got their cultural ID or national ID. That, you know what I'm saying? If you want to take statistics, you follow? Farrakhan and them ain't never built no pyramids. You say, what's the difference? Farrakhan was at the Last Supper table with the master teacher in a painting where that was one of the leaders. That was one of the leaders, but they were supposed to join forces with us because after the Honorable Elijah Muhammad left, they were supposed to come in. We were supposed to join. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad spoke of the Lamb. When he spoke of the Lamb, he was speaking about Reverend Dr. Malachi Z. York, also known as Nabab Yaa-nanan. He referred to him as the Lamb who would come with 76 trillion years of affirmation into information. And he's the one coming with the 76 trillion years of affirmation into information, renewing our timeline. And he also had the Book of Lamb, which was the Holy Tablets, which came out in 1996, which expired in the year 2000.
So we actually all moves to Africa.
That's definitely the mission. He is the continuation of the three winds. Marcus Garvey, Noble Drew Ali, Elijah Muhammad, and now we have Malachi, my angel, the 19th of the 24 elders, also known as Melchizedek and Galzu in ancient Samaria. Galzu. It is an honor, a blessing that we get to walk with someone who was so excellent. When you say H-E, when you see H-E in front of his name, that's for his excellency. He's the master of the Natharu. The Messiah, Jesus, was inducted into the order of Melchizedek. We walking with Melchizedek. It was 19 different beings that were coming through. Panabab, Yaa-nanan. Yaa-nun went inside his mother's womb at the 9th month of birth.
So why did he choose Islam to bring people in?
Because we were under that spell. He had to blend in Islam. And even in Islam...
Why did he use Buddhism?
You said, why did he use Buddha? Because most black people, most Afafre Ka'eu are not involved in Buddhism. The majority of us are either in Christianity, Islam, or Judaism. The three monotheistic religions of Abraham, coming from Earth. As in Nin-Erta, one of the sons of Enlil.
How do you see the Egyptian?
Authority?
How do you prove the Egyptian too?
You said, what are you saying?
How can you prove we're Egyptian?
How can we prove that we are Egyptian? By our culture. We living like Egyptians right now. We call on our own ancestors. We deal with the gods and goddesses of ancient Egypt. 99 of them.
Nobody knows the Egyptian though, for some reason.
That's not true. When people see the Ankh Twi, they automatically mistake it for the Ankh, which is coming from ancient Egypt. The Ankh, the symbol of life. The Ankh Twi is the symbol of life after life.
So why would they see
Double
the
life,
symbol?
double resurrection.
They don't wake
The
up.
Twi is duality.
They see it.
Authority?
Like, why would people see the symbols and stuff? They don't wake up immediately as soon as they see it. They in the first place. For instance, right? What I'm trying to say is this: if Dr. York King had to set the record straight, but all these things are correct and correct.
He came to set the record straight on Sector 20, on planet Sector 24. Project 24. He came to set the record straight. The 19th elder sent to admonish us here in the West as he came from the East, right? As Africa is east of America and came to the West, even though he was born in West Africa, is still east of America. As lightning comes from the east and shineth even unto the west, so shall the coming be of the Son of Man. So he came to walk us through the wilderness of North America, and he brought Egypt to us. He built, we had Tamaray.
And he can actually disappear, right?
This is Tamaray. This right here is a miracle in itself,
He can just
having appeared.
right?
He can do a lot of things.
So why don't he do our job?
Because there's order. there's ma'at. You have order. And just as Murdoch was trapped inside the mountain tomb and he was released, the same thing with the master teacher. It was necessary for him to go away so he can perfect what he came to give us, which is Wu-Nawat. When he tried to introduce Wu-Nawat in 1962, 1963, we were not ready for that as a people.
Why Blight saying you don't understand why you don't understand he didn't do it or not. If he's dealing with his own daughter. Well, he doing some other stuff.
Polite. I don't want to speak on Polite because I don't know him personally. But Polite, he confessed the master teacher's innocence. He already did that. It's on YouTube. You can look that up. He gave a whole build on why the masters. There's no way in the world he could have done those horrendous acts, doing the works that he was traveling back and forth with the president of Sudan, which is his cousin, Sadiq, of the Sudan. He was the prime minister. He had the prime minister coming to Brooklyn, making salat in the Brooklyn Mosque, 1717 Bushwick Avenue. He was the consul general of Monrovia, Liberia. He got his bachelor's from Egypt in Cairo and the University of Khartoum. Bachelor's in Science of the Arts. So he didn't have no time to be doing none of this stuff. He was building a nation. He was walking us through different schools of thought to raise us out and reveal the misconceptions plaguing and diseasing the minds of us as a people. So he had to go into Christism, Christianity. He had to go into Islam, Mohammedanism. He had to go into Judaism, Mosesism. He had to go and reveal the misconceptions inside of these religions plaguing and diseasing the minds of us as a people.
Why are people so afraid of this good news?
Because it's not good news for the Adamites. It's not good news for them. It's good news for us.
I'm saying as far as like being, specifically, right? The ones like not only control, but like the ones not in control, but the ones not in control.
He was giving good news. You got to read the Akashic records where he talks about Rama, who was a 4-foot being that took him inside of Mount Shasta, and he saw elevated seats. And it was different beings. These were called the galactic gatherings. They know who he is. All the beings know who he is. The Riskians are the highest beings in this universe. And Yaa-nanan is a Riskian. The Riskians are 9 feet tall. That's NBA regulation.
So NBA players actually...
No, the size of a court, the size of the NBA court is 9 feet tall. Riskians are 9 feet tall.
NBA players are actually in denial of being Nuwapians. They want to set examples. Most of them are playing Earth. NBA players, football players, and stuff like that.
A lot of those in the
people are playing Earth, right?
A lot of those inside the league are
successful means being rich, right or wrong?
What's your question?
Being successful does not mean being rich at all.
No, it doesn't. Being successful does not mean being rich.
Rich.
I don't understand that question. Being successful does not mean being rich. Yeah, you could be successful and not be rich.
He was like 25 years old. He said he had he's a billionaire.
Who said he was a billionaire?
He said in the book Potential, right? I read. They say you have to be a billionaire. Try to be like a millionaire.
I don't know where you got that information that he was a billionaire. Maybe a millionaire when he was with Kenny Gamble, Leon Huff. He wrote a lot of music. A lot of the conscious music that was coming out was written by his hand. That's the miracle. His pen is the miracle.
You wrote 4 million books, right?
Authority?
You wrote 4 million books.
4 million books. I don't know that number. No, I never heard 4 million. No, I never heard that number.
And how to prove it exists Most High? He said it himself.
I don't know 4 million books. I've never heard that number.
400 million books.
Authority?
400 million books.
No, he has not wrote in a million books. No.
400 million, he said.
No, he's not in a million. We're going to have a class regulated with a hand, you know what I'm saying? Because there's other people that have questions, like a brother that behind you, he just raised his hand, he got a question. Talk.
One question. Are the deities like Oshun, Osar, and the Set, are they European concepts or are they of us too?
No, that's coming from Africa. These beings are beings that came down from Sirius and Orion, the planets, that star system. And they came down and set up the civilizations in ancient Egypt. When Asar came down, even as you see on the picture, he still has green skin, even on this picture, because he had magnesium in his blood. Now we have iron and iron rust, which give us the brown. As when Enki came and seen us in the waters as mermaid and merman, he seen us with scales, glowing emerald green scales, but we still had the brown skin from rusting, as that was much more needed on this planet when we came here. So certain elements were switched for other elements to sustain life on this planet.
Are we supposed to like contact them, like how some?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. We as Africans, our overseers are those that set up the civilization in ancient Tamare, which we call Egypt. We spell it with an I, as I, the I is the 9th letter of the alphabet, because the word Egyptos means those with burnt faces, and it was the Hyksos dynasties in the Hyksos that came in through the 15th through the 18th dynasties and ruled on the throne. It was Sinquin's raised sons, Kapmos and Atmos, that ran them back across the burning hot sands, back across the burning sands, back to the Mediterranean. There's more pyramids in Sudan than it is in Egypt.
Bill Gates were easily sorry.
What's your question? Hold on. What was your question? Finished, sister?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I'm just saying, right? If his net worth is $87.4 billion, right? And Warren Buffett's net worth is $60 billion.
The system wasn't finished with the question. Not finished. You should have the teacher enclosure.
All right, another thing.
Talk.
I was talking to sister, explaining the whole situation with the case with the master teacher. How all the whole case stinks, because I know the deal already, okay, but a little clarification for her about the whole situation with the case, how it all went down on their so-called alleged pedophile charges, right? Mm-hmm. And don't get it wrong, she's not coming up there like cause no.
Tour,
right?
absolutely.
So it's just that a couple people, she was explaining how she's coming to with a wild, they're like, oh no, blah blah blah, you know, all the slander talk. Mm-hmm. So I broke some things down to it, but if you can give even more clarification of how the case went down and all the craziness or whatever, just a little bit more clarification.
Yes. Well, he was arrested in May 2nd, 2002. That's the date that he was abducted, and he wasn't on the land. And they've been trying to get the master teacher for a long time. They even sent assassins over. Going as far back as the 80s, there were assassins that came over dressed up as women that came inside the mosque at the time when he was teaching in the school of Islamism, and the governments have been trying to take him out for the longest. They know who he is, just the same way they wanted to take out the Messiah when they heard that the Messiah was born, the one who was prophesied to come 100 years directly after his great-grandfather, 1845, 1945. So this was the time that he was scheduled to come. They sentenced him to 135 years. Wrongfully accused of he was accused of racketeering. They slandered his name with child molestation. He was never charged with child molestation. In fact, the ones who actually started making these false allegations were adults already, and they were conspiring against the master teacher for their own personal gains of money by the government and their own personal reasons of whatever reason that they were felt some type of way towards the master teacher. And it was also a conspiracy spearheaded by his own son. The same way as-salām went against his own father David, this is the same way his son Jacob, Yaqub, went against his own father. Jacob asked him for money to sponsor his music group, Junior Mafia, which was Lil Kim and Lil C's and all them. And the master teacher, Dr. York, Nabab, Yaa-nanan, he wasn't getting involved with that kind of music. He wasn't going to promote that kind of music. And his son felt some type of way about it. And he went off saying this, that, and the third about his father. And he also felt some type of way because his mother died from an aneurysm. And he felt that it was his father's fault. But his father had nothing to do with his mother dying from an aneurysm. In fact, it is well known that the master teacher kept many people alive because he had Muțbaʒ-un. So he had something that he was able to give us that kept us from our cell deterioration, cell degeneration. It gave us elongated lives. And this Muțbaʒ-un is, another word for it is liquid gold, which is the elixir of life, which is what Eve, Titi, Hawa, but took inside the enclosed garden with Ningish Zita. And this is how she was able to live for 1,000 years. And Adam lived to 930. So none of the patriarchal prophets lived over 1,000 years or lived even to 1,000 years. As the oldest was Methuselah, the son of Enoch. So they all died within one day with God. And the women, they will live for 1,000 years or thousands of years. And that's the symbol of the lotus, which is also the symbol of 1,000 years. Now the master teacher, he's also the council general of Monrovia, Liberia, appointed by Charles Taylor as far back as the late 90s. And so he has diplomatic immunity. And right now, he is about to be repatriated to the Republic of Liberia. That's one of the things that's being worked on right now. The freedom fight is still on. You know what I'm saying? This is only the second half hour. People are acting like the hour is over. It's 2018. From 1970 to the year 2030 is the hour, as he's the man of the hour. So it's much more work that he has to do. He still has to take us back to Africa. So there's much more work that has to be done. And that's the continuation of the Marcus Garvey mission. Well, Marcus Garvey had a lot of us going back to Africa. And they put us back to sleep with Noble Drew Ali and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad with Moorish Science Temple and the Nation of Islam with their new forms of Islamism to spellbound us back in the West, because we had woke up and was saying Africa and black power and was wearing froze, and they wanted to put us back to sleep with this new form of Islam was created by the Alhambra Shriners and the Masons, the Knights of Columbus. They got together to bring up a new form of Islam to enforce the spell of Leviathan, which is spiritual ignorance and racial blindness cast on our people. And the spell is being lifted as we are being revealed, as we're being exposed to the actual facts. Our eyes is waking up, like when Eve ate the apple, so to speak, what they say in the scripture, which is really dealing with me stones, computer-like discs that projected holographic imagery of 4D, and that would teach you certain things. This particular me stone was the me stone of lust and pleasures, in which he taught her certain pleasures. And she was raised up, and she partook of his elixir of life, his liquid gold as he had it, and gave her the liquid gold. Now this Muțbaʒ-un is a composite of 8 monoatomic elements, one atom molecule from these 8 elements, which is ruthenium, iridium, rhodium, palladium, platinum, silver, gold, osmonium, and palladium.
The amount of time elements, right? Is they actually inside our body to redesign us?
Yes, it was to give you elongated life. The Muțbaʒ-un was with the children of Israel as they walked through the wilderness for 40 years by a pillar of cloud by day, which was really a crab. Mystery clouds are the UFOs, and a pillar of fire by night. They were being fed manna, which is also called the bread of life. This Muțbaʒ-un was being produced by your barytheric gland, which was removed after Seth, son of Adam. The barytheric gland was in your hippocampus part of the brain. That was removed. That barytheric gland actually produced Muțbaʒ-un. Just like your pineal gland produces melatonin, which is consciousness all in your central nervous system. As your brain and your spinal cord grows from the black dot of group cells up together and grows around it as your body grows out from that. Atorni? Was given to improve memory? Was good to improve memory. Well, he talks about He talks about memory improving in the secret tomes and the elixir of life. Gold is actually an excellent memory improver. It's an excellent conductor of electricity. As your brainwaves have electricity is going through the brain, right? With the word that I'm looking for is electromagnetic frequencies. It's going through your brain from these different sound waves.
How do you gold?
And gold is an excellent conductor of that.
How do we get gold?
How do you get gold? You can. Well, one way to get gold, you can open up a free international savings account through Kaaba, and they're actually giving you actually can purchase gold.
Right.
Gold as 1 gram, 2.5 gram, and 5 gram. And the Natharu only recognize 24 karat gold. 24 karat gold is recognized by the Natharu. That's what they do. 24 karat. You can get gold online. You can Google that. Can I buy gold? You can order gold anywhere online.
So like when Trinidad James writing this all gold everything. Are you trying like to live up to that, or like?
He could have been, because Trinidad James is from Atlanta, and the Nawapians we were in Georgia.
You are Atlanteans, basically.
We are the Atlanteans, the children of Boo, absolutely.
Like
The Napatans.
Like mermaid people.
Atorni?
Like the movie like Little Mermaid.
Like Little Mermaid.
Yeah, like Little Mermaid Atlanteans.
You bouncing over. Yeah, like the Little Mermaid. In the Little Mermaid, yes, we did come from the waters. We were in the waters as mermaid and merman. Yes. Yes. You see mermaids and mermen on the walls in ancient Egypt in hieroglyphic. We used to come out of the water and teach and go back in the water at night along the Nile River. You have the Dogons. You have the Fishman. Enki was Homosaurus.
So
He can go in the water.
So the different types of beings in the world right now, what do you do?
You got a lot of
Like dolphins, like getting on land, so like that. Like what dolphin do? Come on land.
The dolphin is a mammal. The whale used to walk. The whale had hips. The whale used to be on land. The whale has to come up for breath.
Oh, we still have dolphins.
We came from the dolphin. We was inside the dolphin's womb when we got transported here. That's why dolphins will save mermaids from sharks. They will protect them. Mermaids are still in the waters, and they swim with the dolphins.
Talking dolphins.
Authority?
Are you walking, talking dolphins?
No, we're not walking, talking dolphins.
I'm saying, part of our DNA.
No, the dolphin is symbolic also of the womb. We came from the womb, the Pa-Raham.
Right?
We came from that aquatic environment. But originally, you had scientists from Sirius and Orion that used the dolphin to transport us to this planet. It was called the Dolphin
What
Project.
would a human being be close to on planet Earth?
The Natharu.
I'm talking about for an animal we identify.
But you have primates, certain primates. Human beings have how many chromosomes?
I'm not sure.
You not sure? Human beings have how many? 46. You get 23 from your mother and 23 from your father. Chimpanzees have 48 chromosomes. So they are close to us. If you look at a chimpanzee's hand, it looks the same as a human hand. When the Anunnaqi came here, they chose to breed with the simians and the layers. Not sexually, but in order to procreate a new race. These were the different primates that were already
Like
here.
gorillas then.
I thought of it?
More like gorillas then.
No.
You said?
No. Gorillas are more like Caucasians. They have fur. That's where the whole religion, that's where the religion monks is coming
How
from.
can a surgeon, right? I'm gonna ask you a simple question, y'all. I got a surgery, right? And the surgery I got, okay, a surgeon did a surgery. Make a long story short. Now, how can you do a surgery on me if you not know exactly what's on my body? To know what I am, to do a surgery on a person, you have to know what they are.
Come on, a doctor, like a surgeon.
I got a surgeon.
I know, but they studied human anatomy. First, they doing experiments on us for a long time.
Okay.
So they gonna open up human bodies and study anatomy.
I'm saying I got hernia surgery. Yeah, right.
Authority. Brother, put your shirt down, brother. Let me.
Right now, in order to cover them,
No, here. Are there any questions? Yeah, this is question and answer class. I thought of me. This question and answer class. We want to maintain some order in here. Raise our hand, side conversations. This is the master teacher's platform. This ain't nothing to play with.
I'm just saying, I'm serious though about this.
But make sure you raise your hand. You calling out a lot.
Right, honestly, right, can die from a surgeon doing surgery wrong.
That's true.
How can they know how to do a surgery on you if they don't know what you are physically as a being in the first place?
You can die from surgery. That's true. What's your question?
Roll
back.
Who was it? Akashic records. I'm trying to understand who I'm looking at. Trying to break down everybody around the world. I think it was Akashic records. He was talking about the people in Sudan. What's that? Kush, right? Mm-hmm. Kush. The people in there today is the people that's the direct descendants of the Prophet Muhammad. Now I know that there's two Prophet Muhammads, but I don't know the people in Sudan what Prophet Muhammad are they directly linked to, and what is the difference between those people in Sudan and us today?
I just spoke about that. You must have walked in right after that. We were just talking about how the master teacher is the great grandson of Al-Mahdi Al-Hadi. This scrolls go in depth into it. Pa Hadayan, the guidance. Hadayan, right? This right here, As-Sayyid Muhammad Ahmed Al-Mahdi. This is his great grandfather. These are his two sons, As-Sayyid Sadiq Abdur Rahman Al-Mahdi and these are the two sons of As-Sayyid Abdur Rahman, right? So this is the master teacher, As-Sayyid Isa Al-Hadi Al-Mahdi. This is his father, As-Sayyid Al-Hadi Abdur Rahman Al-Mahdi. This is his grandfather, As-Sayyid Abdur Rahman Al-Mahdi. And this is his great-grandfather, As-Sayyid Muhammad Ahmed Al-Mahdi, who is the 19th Khalifa and a direct descendant of the Prophet Muhammad by way of the Prophet's daughter Fatima and the Prophet's nephew Amir Mumin, who birthed Hussein and Hussein, which begins the Caliphaship all the way up to the 19th Khalifa, who is As-Sayyid Muhammad Ahmed Al-Mahdi, a direct descendant of the Prophet Muhammad. Dungalloway and also Akan of Ghanaian. Same people.
So is they the same, those features, those faces that I'm looking at on there, are those the same people that's in Ethiopia today?
This is the Sudanese.
That's the Sudanese?
Yeah. Ethiopia was once, that was all, Ethiopia, Egypt was all attached at one point. But this is dealing with the Sudan. You know what I'm saying? And his birthplace was in Napata.
So would those people in the Bible be the descendants of
Hagar? Absolutely, because the first Arab was Ishmael. When you look up the word Arabic in Hebrew, it means mixed. When you look up the word Arabic in Arabic, it means mingle, mix, mingle, seed. So Ishmael was the first Arab because he was mixed, because his father Abraham was Chaldean, who raped Hagar, who was Egyptian. So this Chaldean, Persian, Mesopotamian, East Indian, Far East, mixes in with the African, and this begins a new hybrid. This is Arab now. And he was the father of the Arabs. And he also took an Egyptian wife and had 12 sons through one woman and one daughter through his one wife that his mother chose. So the Arabs are the Reds of the Adamite race.
Not the whites.
Not the whites.
So, like, the people that I would see,
the Canaanites would be the whites of the Adamite race.
Like, what would you say Saddam Hussein is?
He has East Indian features. He's also in Iraq, which back then, Iraq and Iran, that's all ancient Mesopotamia. In ancient Mesopotamia, you had Akkadians, that was a group of people. You had Chaldeans, that was a group of people. You had Sumerians, that was a group of people.
So it's basically everybody really don't know. They're calling themselves something they're not. Basically, everybody not, just including us as well. Because he would consider himself are Arabian or an Arab, or they would call him an Arab. I'm talking about Saddam Hussein. When in actual fact, he's not. The true Arabs are the ones that's in Kush today.
No.
Is this correct? Or?
That's right, because the original Arabs were of Ethiopia, as the master broke down as well. And that the Red Sea, once that came about through different natural disasters or wars and calamities, broke off and made the separation. And that when Saudi Arabia broke off from Ethiopia, that was all one. And if you notice, a lot of Ethiopians, they have the bridge nose that the Arabs, that's prominent in Arabs, where it's like a bridge nose. And you also see it in Morocco because the Arabs went into Morocco.
Are they the Arabs are they the people who push today? Are they the Arabs that went into Egypt and fought?
Yeah, the Arabs went into Tanzania, Zanzibar. That was the first slave trade on the East Coast, the East African slave trade, where the Arabs went in. Because they still attracted to Africans all the way from when Abraham raped an African, raped Hagar. She had no say-so in that. He just took her. And so the Arab slave trade is still going on even right now. In Libya right now, the Arab slave trade is rampant right now after Gaddafi was taken out. Tor.
I just want to elaborate some more on that so you get more reference. If you go to 18 plus 18 mitochondrial DNA, it actually tells you the migration of all of those that came out of the cave and where they settled at, in what region. So then you can get a better chronological idea of who those people are, who those Caucasians are, and where they migrated after they came out of the cave, after they received the curse of leprosy.
Tor, because you had the Vikings, right? Which is dealing with 6 kindreds, 6 kings, 6 kingdoms of kindreds of Caucasians, which is coming from Celtics with the S, Celtics with the K, and Celtics with the C. And then it birthed 6 Viking kingdoms or Caucasian kingdoms coming from out the mountains. They came out of the mountains and they started spreading world over because they were hemophiliacs. They had a problem with hemoglobin. They had a problem with their blood clotting. So every 400 years, 300 years, they have to go mix in with people of color. And their overlords told them to go into Africa. And that's why they came in, because they were dying out.
So what's the difference between us over here in the West and those Ethiopians over there?
Well,
are they considered African or Negroid, or are they considered part of the tribes of the European tribes, the clans and stuff?
Well, once you go black, you never go back. We have 9 species, 9 different hues, right? In our race. 9 ether, we're 9 etheric, 9 species, 9 hues. So once you mix in with black, you're automatically black. So a lot of those races that you see over there, some of them, they have farar. They don't have a bar. They got fur instead of hair. But they still are coming from the black race, which is dominant. So us over here in the West, a lot of us had slave. We're a product of slave rape, 400 years of slave rape. So we and some of us are through the Yamasee that was already over here. Indigenous African Native American tribes that was already on this land, that before the continental drift, that walked over to this land and settled over here and became indigenous to that land once the landmass separated, and they stayed on that landmass. So a lot of us over here in the West, we become Americanized after 400 years of slave rape and programming. We have a lot of us, the master teacher said, have half souls over here, as opposed to an African who has a full soul because of the mixing. This was the melting pot. This was the clam chowder, the New England, Great Britain. Where Great Britain gave America its independence, but they're still over America, the Queen of England. And still, which ties into Revelations chapter 13, the 7 heads of the beast, or 10 horns.
Who would be more important, Jesus Christ or Malachi York?
Jesus Christ is not important at all for you as an African.
Though, he said that he.
This is why I'm gonna say Jesus Christ. Let me answer your question, brother.
That he's more important.
All right, let me answer you. I'm gonna answer your question. All right, let me answer your question without being cut off. Jesus is coming from a derivative of Jah and Zeus of Greek mythology. His mother called him Yahshua 2,000 years ago. He was in fact Har-Amun. So if you call him on Jesus, that's not the same as Har-Amun. Because a lot of people, when you think of Jesus, you get a depiction of a white man with long fur coming down. There's so many different Jesuses out here that everybody will have a different Jesus, different white Jesus pop up in their mind. Jesus was never for us. Now, when you're dealing with the Messiah, that means anointed. That's coming from the anointed, the one that was sent. And the master teacher is the forerunner for the real Messiah. He's the one ushering in, right? He's ushering in when you go into feeding the forces. He's our savior. Right now, he's important. He's the one getting the bride ready for the groom. So the bride being the bride. Let me answer your question.
I'm just asking a question. I call you all the time. So.
Hold on. Let me answer your first question properly. You have testified that Purei Amanu Briakta is here to bring in Rehar Aket Pa Masu. He was born under the sign of Kaf Re Scarab, June, the symbol of the black beetle, coming into being as recorded in Pa-un's funerary pyramid text. So he says right here, verse 2 of Feeding the Forces, actual fact. You have testified that Purei Amun Nub Rayakpata is here to bring in Rehar Aket Pa Masu. When you see Pa Masu, that's the Messiah. He's here to bring in, as he says, Rehar Aket Pa Masu, Har, son of Asar and Ashtet.
Why is that written in the Bible?
It is written in the Bible. When you go into Revelations 22:16, I, Jesus, that's what the Bible says, have sent my angel to testify these things which must shortly come to pass. I'm the root and offspring of David. To testify these things. He is the one who testified in all three monotheistic religions. He went into Judaism. He went into Christianity. He went into Islam to reveal the misconceptions in these religions, plaguing and disease in the minds of us as the people. He always said in the beginning of the scrolls, he says, I am a master teacher in the body of Christ. This is what he said. Then he put out who is the Nawapians Christ.
The Buddhist Bible then, maybe.
The Buddhist Bible. We don't read the Buddhist Bible. Your question is bouncing. They're not really like doctrine questions. You know what I'm saying? But I'm with you though. But it's not really like doctrine, like questions that's coming from the scrolls. We got new scrolls up here. The proof by way of Nabab Yaa-nanan, the Akashic records, good and evil, the lotus of life, Pa-ha-dayan, the guidance, intelligent design, divine design, or plot of the aliens, the God of light and fire, the ones who lie and deceive, Pa-tak-ror, the decision. When you read, questions will pop up. It's imperative to read so you can convey the questions that you want answered properly. And if it's a question that I can't answer, I have no problem telling you that. I'm not equipped to answer that. And
the Chinese man won't let me work inside his job.
You got to stop cutting me off while I'm trying to tell you.
Work inside a Chinese person's job and become a part of a Chinese organization, just to say, if I wanted to, right, get a job. How would that render me as being the Wapian?
What is your question? You said, how would it render you a Nawapi if you work for a Chinese man?
Right.
That's what your question is?
My brother, there's a reason why you got 2 years and 1 mouth. Okay? So try to listen a little bit. Let somebody else ask the question. You'll learn more. Okay? Not that you can't ask questions, but let somebody else ask the question. You do 2 years. You know what I'm saying?
Torah. That's right. That's right knowledge. Now, as Nawapians, we shouldn't be working for the Chinese man. But you also have to use sound right reasoning. You don't just quit your job and lose your pension just because you read a scroll and you saw that the master said, give them back everything. You want to give them back everything. That's what you're supposed to do. That's why we have scrolls out like a nation of our own, where you give them back everything. He made a way for you to even survive, for your livelihood. You know what I'm saying? He made a way. There are brothers that pay their bills off propagating every day. Brothers, they go out and they propagate every day. They push Pops, the master teacher's scrolls. His scrolls are being put into the streets. It's being spread world over. Wu-Nawat is spreading world over. And is growing fast and rapid. There are brothers and sisters that are filling out for their tribal IDs.
I'm saying, it's ain't doctrine, right? Why would you have to push a scroll on somebody?
Because you're supposed to be fishers of men. You're supposed to save and raise souls. To each one, teach one, and reach one. So what's the point of you getting all this information and keeping it to yourself? You're going to be held accountable. You got to keep raising your family up. Keep raising your loved ones up. Keep raising those of your race up. Save souls. Be fishers of men. Jesus told his own disciples not to go into the way of the Samaritans or the Gentiles, but only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, which is Natu. So you got to spread this information that you're getting to keep breaking the spell of Leviathan. That's what this is doing. You're spreading this information, is breaking the spell of Leviathan, raising us up from that sleep-like state. He talks about, never did he know that the evil one had done such a job on the mentally dead. And he talks about how it's harder to raise up someone who's mentally dead as opposed to someone who is mentally asleep. So when you get this information, you're not supposed to keep it to yourself. He's not writing these for his health. He's writing these scrolls for our health. As it's cleaning us inside out, outside in. Every time you read a scroll, you learn something new. You're supposed to read the scrolls 19 times each or more.
When they kill you, though?
Yeah. Yes.
I said when they kill you.
Would it kill you? No.
I'm saying.
Why would that kill you? Why would that kill you?
Literally. That would kill a person.
No, brother. Spare time is a devil's workshop. Any spare time you got, if you can, you should be reading. You should be mining your mind for the jewels of your soul. You're supposed to be raising yourself up in degrees spiritually, so you'll be able to make that journey once it's time for you to transition to the other side. This is a project coming here for your soul and your spirit.
I'm saying you blind though. How you gonna read that?
You can still listen. There are blind people that's following the man. You think there's people that's blind that's not following the Lamb? Stevie Wonder was one of his best friends.
Can't read it at all.
Did you hear what I just said? Stevie Wonder was one of the master teacher's best friends. Was not Stevie Wonder blind all his life?
They say you can't comprehend at all. It's a human being.
Because you're blind?
No, they say you can't comprehend though.
What you mean you can't comprehend?
Like some people in LD, they can't comprehend that well.
There is people who had learning disabilities
Right.
that were healed from the master teacher. He is the healer. He has healed people.
Right.
He has kept people from death. So you think he can't? You think he can't heal someone who has mental problems? They give medicine to people who have mental problems. So you think that right knowledge is not the medicine to heal? Many of us have mental problems, whether you want to classify it as LD or learning disability or not. We all had mental problems before we were introduced to Wu-Nawat, right knowledge and sound right reasoning. 9 minds.
Just living in America, right? Alone.
Just being Americanized alone.
You would still have other problems.
That's right.
You can't do anything about it all.
That's right.
Until you what? Until you like leave America?
No. He brought Egypt to us. This was Egypt of the West. Isaiah 19:19. When you look on the back of these scrolls and you see this miracle, this feat, you see the people right here, you see the size of the people, and you see the size of the pyramids. This is a miracle. This was built right here in the United States of America, right under the government's eye. They didn't even stop us.
So many people know about right knowledge, right? And he has so many followers and so many children. Over 50 children, right? Right or wrong?
Right? What's right or wrong?
He has over 50 children.
Over 50 children?
Right.
50 sons, 50 daughters?
Yeah, that would
Talk.
make him the most smartest person on the planet Earth.
Because he has a lot of children that will make him the smartest person on the planet Earth.
One of the smartest people. You know what I'm saying?
No, that wouldn't make you the smartest. That's not the reason he's who he is.
One of them, though.
That's no. He was sent to the planet as a breeder. The reason he is who he is because he accepted the being Yaa-nanan to come into his body. He had to accept this being. inside of his mother's womb. This was a choice. You have choice inside of the womb. There is intelligence inside the womb. At 6 weeks in the womb, there is intelligence. Your zero time reference starts at 6 weeks in the womb. So Yaa-nanan, being the master teacher, the being who is a Riskian, is the being that's conveying this information. He also was taught. They also taught. He was taught with laser technology, holographic imagery. The first time he came in contact with the meat stones was at age 19.
Who told you that?
The Akasha records. I'm gonna read it for you. All right. Now look. All right, here we go.
You dying too. Brother.
Tour.
There's so many beings just like totally dying. You guys is like a little freak. So, like seriously, like brother actually was giving out a lot of information. Now he got some things, but that's what I'm saying. He was studying a lot of books. You supposed to be the longest living being on the earth.
So, Prodigy.
I mean, you know, average church people. I know church people is like 19 years old.
All right, let me answer your first question that you just asked. Here's the answer to you. Here's the answer. You said, where did I get that from? I got it from here. This book is $40. This is Pa Kashea Sajalat, the Akasha Records. This is verse 193. The very first time I came in contact with the meat stones was in 1963 at age 19. I was taken inside of Mount Shasta. I told this story in the past of the cave. I was led into the cave in Mount Shasta, and there were twists and turns. It was just a rock cave. Shawara. I'll stop right there unless you want me to keep going. But that's where it's at. Want me to keep going?
No.
Okay. Tour. Tour.
Trying to understand. Maybe I might have skipped over, but maybe it's and Eve, and she receiving the Muৎbac-un from the way she received it. How did Adam get it?
Adam got it through the genetic kiss. And her children got it through the breast milk.
Yeah, because I was one, I'm like, I hope Adam didn't get it the same way Eve did.
Yeah. No. He didn't get it the same way Eve got it. Now what? Sure. Yeah. See, Eve gave it to her husband through the genetic kiss, and once they exchanged the bodily fluids, and the children got it through the breast milk. First 2 years. Maf Cosette. Eve?
Was Eve, was she pure blooded like Tallite or Nubian, or was she mixed with reptilian or something?
Well, the Batahites we all are mixed with reptilian. We all grow inside of our egg. We start off as spermatozoa, sperm cell, right? Like a tadpole of amphibian, and we fertilize the egg, and the egg grows out. Once that water breaks, that's the egg breaking. That's what reptilians hatch eggs, and we come from our mother's egg inside of the womb. So we're all part reptilian. We still even breathe in air, is just in a different form. You know, solid liquid gas. But Eve was of the Patahites. Her father was Ptah, and her mother was Anath. And Ptah was A positive and Anath was AB positive. And she was taken out of Africa and placed in the enclosed garden of the light, which was in Becca, now called Mecca of Saudi Arabia.
It was the male who was cloned, not the female or grafted.
That's right.
Oh, okay.
That's right. Now, but no. Ninti was the one who used her seed for E. That's why TT means seed of my seed, from Nin Hersag. And you can go into Jewels of my divine eyes. Master secret. The first page. It goes into it.
You good, brother. I ain't gonna lie. I'm sure.
So you got trapped by way of religion, and you got bloodlust in religion. Two heavy master secrets to help raise us out. Yes, brother.
Read that again about Eve. Well, you said Patal and that.
Tor. Let me crack this open and show you real fast. I highly recommend you get this scroll if you don't have it. It's called The Decision. It's 19 chapters in here, and it's a chapter called The Bloods, right? And in this particular chapter, he shows the blood types of Adam and Eve, right? Now, blood types. This is Adam's mother and father, and this is Eve's mother and father, blood types. Now, Adam was of brown, 7 ether, Indians. His father, Atum, was B negative. His mother, Lilith, was AB negative. That's Adam. Now, Eve, her father, Patal, was A positive. And her mother, Anaf, was AB positive. This is black, 9 ether, Africans. And then you come down and you see TT, who was RHO positive. And Adapo RHO negative.
You had that DVD inside here? Weird Egyptians, weird guys DVD?
I'm not sure.
You have it?
Do I have it? No, but I'm familiar with talking about a lot of the master teachers' classes are on YouTube as well.
Right.
You know, classes. There's so many classes on the tube that I'm always trying to hear what the master says. Absolutely. So he goes into the Egyptian Amun in the Bible. Even when you go into Jeremiah 46:25, where it says, I, the Lord Yahweh, am about to punish Amun, the god of Thebes. So right there you see confrontation with the Anunnaqi and the Natharu, right in the Bible. You familiar with that? Familiar with that Bible verse?
Sure.
Somebody pull that up if you like, and could share it with the class. So even I just went to a funeral. I went to a funeral yesterday. My cousin, her husband, 33 years old, died from brain cancer. You know, his mother was Mukasu. His father was Nagaru. So a lot of gene mixing affects how long you can live on the planet too as well. Right? And Tor.
I wanted to know, I don't know how to ask this question, but like what's the Nawapian celebrations like as far as like burial services and
Yes, well,
marriage ceremonies and stuff?
Yes. Well, the other day, not the other day, but not so long ago, within maybe the last month or two, we had a balloon ceremony out here where, you know, we all have the white balloons, which is symbolic of the spirit. And, you know, you always see the ghost dressing, you know, in the white. And we let the balloons up. And that's one of the spiritual ceremonies of transition to the other side, as symbolic of you know, your soul ascending. As your spirit connects back with your soul in death, takes up to 60 to 90 days. And once it makes it back, your soul assembles, your DNA assembles itself on your soul. And your soul travels on your etheric cord of evolution from which you came. So your soul will travel back to where it came on your etheric cord, and your DNA will assemble itself. 24 grams will assemble itself on your soul. So that's one of the rituals that is done. We also have rituals to open up vortexes, but we haven't. I've done the ritual before, but the master teacher has to lead us through that, and by way of the elders, and we'll go further into that once that's for us to do, when the time is right for us to actually start doing the pole ritual, where you have two hermaphrodites on one side, which is XYX, and two hermaphrodites, XX, and you got two hermaphrodites, XX, and two hermaphrodites, XY. And the golden child is in the center, and there's a certain ritual that is done in order to open up a vortex. So this is one of the rituals, and we also have the birthing ceremony, where he came out. We had baptism ceremonies. He actually put out little scrolls. Like we have the marriage ceremony. This is coming from the older schools. So now things are being updated. And right now, the elders are the ones that are bringing some of the rituals to us by way of the master as they guide. And like we celebrate, Children's Day, which some people call Christmas. We call it Karadu Zamut, Children's Day, and we get gifts for the children. And we also celebrate Thanksgiving as the Feast of Gratitude, where we come together and eat. We celebrate Valentine's Day as Friendship Day. So we have our days that we have our different celebrations, and then Adun Day is New Year's, the African New Year's. You have Prophets and Angels Day for what they call Halloween, and then we also have Spiritual Night, which is every other Sunday, if I'm not mistaken, where that's rituals as well. Rituals on the correct tones on calling on your ancestors and the overseers. The actual language and the different chants and prayers. Round back, y'all still with me? The master teacher, this is his platform. This is question and answer class.
You spoke about the RH negative and positive. Isn't the extraterrestrial bloodlines that come from off-world, right? RH, you have RH negative, which will, RH negative is coming from the mountains of the Caucasians. They brought that RH negative. But then you also have RH positive. You had agreeable reptilians, and you had disagreeable reptilians. You had carnivorous reptilians of the Zupu zone, and you had herbivorous reptilians of the Nupu zone. So the RH positive, that's coming from the agreeable. That's because you see TT was RHO positive, but her mother and father was A positive and AB positive. But somehow she became RH. Okay, so the RH negative is from
the Kakasu. And when the RH blood, when the Mukasu, his RH blood can attack the fetus inside of a mother's womb. RH blood type, a baby can be RH blood type growing inside of a mother's womb, and she may not be RH, and her body will cause an abortion, to abort the baby, because it's attacking. It's an alien inside my body, and it's RH, and the child is always going to be under attack. As soon as Matal is released into that area, the attack is going on. So that's why it's important for that one to get inside that ovum, Hathath, in order to be protected. Trapped by way of religion, the bloodlust in religion. To this day, we still are doing blood sacrifices in churches, our people. I went to a church, it was called St. Barnabas. Then they changed it to St. Luke. I guess because the book of Barnabas contradicted the book of Luke. Because the book of Barnabas says that Jesus was never crucified. And Luke said it was crucified. Luke wasn't even a disciple of the Messiah. He was a disciple of Paul. Luke was also a doctor. And even to this day, we still do rituals where we take grape juice or sometimes wine, pour it in a little cup, and we say, take this, it represents my blood which was shed on Calvary, and they take the cracker and do this in remembrance of my body which was broken. And then you take the cracker and you drink. To this day, my family still does that. Because my grandmother had a church called Peaceful Holiness. And now my grandma, she retired from preaching, and now my uncle is still preaching. And see, the thing about it, they don't want to admit that they're wrong. There's so many actual facts that's coming out now that they will feel like a fool for leading people the wrong way for so many years that their own ego won't allow them to stop and say, yo, this ain't right. So they rather continue on in their wrong because their ego won't allow them not to.
How many kids does your have actually?
Atorni?
How many children do we have actually?
How many children do who have? The master teacher?
On record.
On record, it was 50 sons and 50 daughters. He was sent to the planet as a breeder. Just like the honorable. I don't know. He has. I don't know. The honorable Elijah Muhammad had a lot of children as well. And a lot of people had problems with that, but it was in order to breed.
Make him more superior than being on planet Earth.
One thing that will make him more superior than any other being on the planet Earth is that the being that is inside of his body is the 19th of the 24 elders, who is the head of a star fleet and the master of the Natharu, the master of the overseers.
From Orion.
No, from Risk, from the planet Risk.
So what Orion do?
Orion is at the gateway between the 18th and the 19th galaxy. We are in the 18th galaxy. Risk is in the 19th galaxy, a tri-sun solar system. The 8th planet of 19 that orbits around 3 suns. And that's where the fidget spinner symbol is coming from. That's the 3 suns of Risk, the fidget spinners, the tetrahedron. So that's one thing that makes them different. Another thing that makes them different from any other leader. No other leader ever brought us back a language, an ancient language, for us to speak and learn our own language that we can speak Nawat. No one has did that. No one has did that. No, another thing that makes them different. No one has ever restored our culture. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Noble Drew Ali, that's still Islam. That's still Mesopotamian religions. That's not our culture.
Yaqub black scientists.
Yaqub was a scientist of the Dunakal race who lived inside the earth. Talked about it in the tablet. I got the tablets here. I know y'all be having some tablet questions. Yeah. He is the one who created the Flugeride race. Yaqub. The Flugeride was created 2,400 years prior to Canaan of the Bible. Genesis 9:25. Authority?
We're not running us to be. If we live up top, they live bottom.
We're earthlings. We're on the earth. We're on the surface of the earth. You got certain beings that live inside the earth. Rainbow City, Shambhala, Agartha, which is talked about in the Quran. Different beings. You got the Dunakal. You have the Teros. You have the Dawani. This is different beings. That's where hydrocephalitis is coming from, the Dunakal. Yaqub had a very big head, like he had 2 brains.
So where's the earthlings supposed to eat then?
What are the earthlings supposed to eat? That which grows from the earth. Vegetation, fruit, herbs.
So what marijuana be, actually? Marijuana.
Is an intoxicant.
Killing us then?
It's an intoxicant.
That's smoking.
The master teacher recommends that we stay away from it because what it does is it creates toxins inside of your body. It also kills your brain cells. It destroys them. Now, they also use that particular herb to heal people with cancer. People
actually it cures they.
It gives them appetite. So it has its purposes, but it also has its side effects. One of them is short memory, mental loss, destroying your brain cells.
What about the
and you need your brain cells.
What about your memory though?
Your memory. If your brain cells are being destroyed, your memory can deteriorate with it. Absolutely.
So you don't have to do anything, basically. He's trying to stop doing everything.
He's having us clean ourselves inside out, so we can transform back to Etherians. So we'll be ready when the crafts is ready to aboard the craft. Those who are being raised up. He put out scrolls, mystery clouds. Are they UFOs? He has scrolls on. He has the crafts on many pictures. Right up here, you see a craft right here.
So why is that kind of organization like big on Earth?
It's not. You have secret. You have.
Do you have anything to do with Dr. being like that?
Farrakhan was supposed to join with us a long time ago. He already put out the pictures where you had the Ansars shaking their hand with the Nation of Islam. It was pictures of that back in the 80s, where he even wrote an apology letter to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because when he had disputed their doctrine, a lot of them got offended. So he had wrote an apology letter. We had that scroll in here before.
I'm just saying.
Farrakhan, they were supposed to come over, but it's the ego. A lot of leaders, they don't want to relinquish. They don't want to relinquish their people to someone else. You follow? Because if Farrakhan comes over, then that means he's under the master teacher, and it goes back to the ego. He was already told. The man was 76 trillion years. That man you should follow. He says that in the God of Light and Fire.
He's older than Farrakhan, right?
Farrakhan's a little bit older, right?
Yeah, Farrakhan's 82.
Yeah, he's already 82. The master teacher is 72. But Farrakhan was at the Last Supper table.
Oh, I thought Master Teacher was 82.
No, the master teacher will be 73 years old, June 26 this year.
He's a Cancer, right?
The zodiac sign, yeah, Kaf Rayeh, the
What's the
king.
most important sign of Zodiac?
All signs are important. You're every sign of the zodiac. Because if you go 4 generations back, you'll have your grandmother's sign in you, your grandfather's sign in you, every sign. You're every sign of the zodiac. And it's not just 12 signs of the zodiac. It's 24 signs of the Dendil of the star map.
So, what is the...
And at the center is Tawarat, the hippopotamus deity.
So what is the specific, you were saying earlier, what's it called? You was talking about the laws of Mayat, right?
Sure.
So, the laws
You know how many laws of Mayat there are?
Yeah, how many laws of Mayat? Right?
Anybody know? How many?
42.
That's right.
Now, okay, it was 42 laws of Mayat. Okay, now if you on your child like your child, I'm just saying, how could you try to get those laws? How could you try to follow those laws properly if you can't memorize those laws? If you have that memory.
It's your choice. It's your choice to memorize. You can study and you can build up your memory. You can build new neural pathways. When you build new neural pathways, that gives you the ability to store more information. You can build up new neural pathways. When you read this information, it's actually building neural pathways.
So the church is wrong in this. If you go to church, I'm wrong.
If you go to church, are you wrong? That's your choice. If you go to church, are what they are teaching and what they're preaching is not.
I say I go to church.
When what they preach is not right knowledge, all of it.
Punish, right? I just go to church. If I just go to church, why am I going to punish? If I don't study the information, if I don't go to church, if I don't pray, I'm just saying. If I don't perform tattoo, I just think personally I get punished.
You get punished if you don't go to church, you're saying? You get punished by who? Who punishes you if you don't go to church?
I thought that Jesus Christ would punish me.
Jesus Christ, once again, is coming from Jah of Jehovah and Zeus of Greek mythology. He was called Yahshua 2,000 years ago.
Jesus Christ, but I'm saying, I'm still alive right now. I'm not going to tell you nothing wrong. I'm not going to try to see how I'm feeling right now.
Yeah.
I literally go to church, I literally come to this class, and that's all I do. If I not go to church, though, I get punished. If I don't go to class, I get punished. So, I don't know, I'm kind of confused right now.
A man cannot serve two masters.
I'm asking questions today, too, because I'm a little confused, because, if I miss one, then I have a bad week.
Are you reading? Are you actually reading scrolls?
As a human being, I'm just going to give my examples as a human being.
Are you actually reading scrolls, brother?
Yes, I do. I mean, I don't read a whole lot, because,
Well, you should read a whole lot.
Hold on,
Because I notice you're in here a lot, but you don't read a lot.
You say something. If I read too much, personally, I feel like my brain's it's too much for my brain. And I don't want to shut myself down. I live in 38 years and literally going to this class and literally studying almost 38 years. Let's say 24 years. And not have really did anything else other than study. They can literally kill me.
Tor.
Like you just said earlier. I
No.
don't want to die.
If there are no more questions, we'll close class out. You got a question, Tor?
Yeah, so can you explain to me
You know,
My lady asked a question yesterday about the first. She wanted to know what's the first interaction man had with divinity.
What's the what?
The first experience man had with the divine.
Reaching the egg. Once he incarnated into this physical, once the sperm reaches the actual ovum, that's divine right there. Because that is the spark of life. So once he's in the sacred garden of triple darkness, which is the womb of his mother, he reached the divine. Because that is the spark of life, from which life grows from that fertile soil of triple darkness, the sacred garden of delight. So that is divine once the spermatozoa meets the egg. Because there are many people who cannot conceive. You follow? So something divine is not happening inside of them. Out of 700 million spermatozoa, is only one that fertilizes the egg. Unless you have twins. So that is the spark of life. That is the first divine.
How long you been teaching?
So if there are no more questions,
How long you been teaching?
I got more questions.
you got more questions?
Unless you gotta get out of here.
No. I just see the class cleared out. Hold on, we have a question right here.
I'm saying we been teaching long now than actually studying. I mean, I've been studying as long as you've been teaching.
Hold on, brother. We have a brother that's asking a question. I can't hear him because y'all keep being disruptive.
All right, so next question is: Nimrod came from Egypt, speaking Nuwapu.
He went to his father's land, Cush, which was Ethiopia, in order to obtain this magical language, which is the language that we are now getting back right now, being transmitted by our beloved master teacher, Dr. Malachi Z. York. That language was Nuwapu, and he took the language from Ethiopia and went back to Shinar of Mesopotamia. And that's where he unified the people, because he taught them the language which activated their brain and put them on a higher frequency.
Got them away from Enlil.
Got them away from Enlil.
Gotcha.
So now you're only 22 years old, right? And Bill
You have another question?
I got another question.
So let's get to it.
Now you're only 72 and Bill Gates is 84, right? And he's richer than him, but richness don't mean anything? You trying to say being successful don't mean anything? I'm just saying. The class is very successful. We got more success by
Listen,
class.
how much you think these scientists got enough money to build spaceships?
No.
All right then.
So you trying to say he has more power than you?
You guys, we dealing with crafts that's made out of diamonds. You talking about the Crystal City? You talking about money? The Messiah said, "In my Father's house are many mansions." What are you talking about? Streets paved with gold, rivers flowing with honey. What are you talking about? All the gold is in Africa. What are you talking about? Tor, you got another question, good brother?
I got a question. What's your phone number? I'm glad you did that. So what's that wrong with church though?
Oh yeah, there we go with Kush. Okay, got you. All right, so
As long as you know the truth and you go in there to raise them out of that church, then ain't nothing wrong with it, brother. Tor.
all right, so in the Quran, what's Allah's relation? Is Allah Inky in the Quran? Is that Allah's title?
Well, Allah is the Arabic word which means source.
Well, yeah, the source. Yeah, that's the.
And that's a title, and it was different Anunnaki beings that were behind that title. At one point,
Gotcha.
Enki was Allah. At one point, Enlil was Allah. At one point, Nanar was Allah.
Okay.
You follow?
Gotcha.
In the Bible, Enki is Yahweh, and Enlil is Baal, And Nanar is sin. And Lucifer, lux, light. Isaiah 14, 12 through 16. I'll give you my number after they close the class out, brother.
You drop me off my house?
If there's no more questions, you got any more questions?
I got like one more.
All right, Tor.
You said all upon.
So Inky and Hillel, the ruler of the earth.
Enki means rule. En means ruler. Ki means earth. This was their name. I'm breaking down the titles of their name. He's the ruler of Malakut, the realm of the seraphim, the realm of the angelic seraphim, not the universe.
What?
He's the master of the overseers, the ruler of Malakut.
Malakut. Where's Malakut?
Malakut is one of the heavenly realms.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
The realm of the seraphim.
Is that in Sumerian doctrine or is that
That's in when you go into Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. Because he's Melchizedek is called the king of Salem. Salam, that's the city in Malakut.
No right or wrong question. There's no right or wrong question. I always thought right or wrong question. You know, you taught in school, right or wrong question.
Was that your last question? Hold on, brother. He's asking some serious questions, huh? And you on the side talking and playing around and stuff. And this is serious. Like, you lucky the right brothers wasn't here, man. They'd have been tossed you out of this job, man. You know what I mean? You lucky the security force ain't there. You up here fooling around. This ain't nothing to play around with. I don't play with the master. It's not a game. What's your question, brother? All right, brother. All right, brother. It's all love. It's all love.
You gotta be, you know, can't just like you said too. You gotta look out and say, don't take life serious.
Hold on. But right now, this is serious because we dealing with the truth. And the truth is serious. We're dealing with actual facts. And people want to know the truth. And they don't want to be distracted by somebody that's talking and playing around. Hold on, brother. This brother's asking. He's in the middle of asking a question. Hold that question, and when I see your hand up, I'll get right to you. Nobody in our lifetime has written more books than the master teacher to answer that question. And what's your question, brother?
So, hold on, brother.
Hold on. See, you know what I'm saying? Like you're very disruptive today, brother.
No, man, you know.
Hold on.
Hold on.
Jerusalem is where you get the Adam and Eve story. Sumerian is where you get the Adepa and Titi story. And Egyptian is Nim-Gad. Am I correct?
Tor.
Okay.
Tor. Gebab and Natatat would be your Adam and Eve in ancient Egypt.
Okay.
But not the same, but just in comparison.
So my question is, are those stories